Thank you very much. I would like to recognize Representative Zinke for your 5 minutes of questioning.
Well, thank you for coming. So a couple things. One, I agree with flexibility. I agree with equity. I'm not sure percentage I would agree with you on. I think it should be aligned with the policy of the United States, or the executive and the Congress. So it is that from where our policy is driven and should be driven. So a couple things. USAID's come up a lot. And of course, USAID's gone through a lot of scrutiny, as it should. But when you have transgender medical clinics in India or condoms for Taliban, and we can go through the list after list after list after list. So some of it then is spread to you because you have a relationship with them. So on your loans, do you have a single database? Because when I was in Interior, I went in and I canceled every loan until I could figure out where they're going. It took us a while, and we're seeing the same thing with USAID canceling it. So you haven't been in the papers lately. Do you have a database of where your loans are your outstanding loans?
Yes.
Is that database accessible to the United States Congress?
It should be. I believe that there are some platforms like the FATA.
Yeah, so technically DFC is, I believe, required to report to the foreignassistance.gov dashboard under FATA, the Foreign Aid Transparency and Accountability Act, which BUILD Act was extended its purview to. Right now, it's just reporting grant and technical assistance on that dashboard because there's been
I've heard this from multiple. It's amazing. The Department of State does not have a list, the one that's a database that you can query on loans, on grants. And if you have one, I would love to see it.
Yes.
And what fidelity, because a lot of things are just titles, and this is whether you love or hate them, DOGE, what it has done is open up files that when you and I were in Congress, we couldn't access. When I was a secretary, I couldn't access the files. But evidently, just a few can, and trying to run ahead. If there's files out there, I would like you to share them so we can see and defend you. Yeah.
Sorry, just to clarify, DFC does post, it has two databases actually on its website that have project level data. Now they're a little bit lagged, so we're missing the most recent data, but you can query and search. One of them has more fields than others, so you get greater granularity, but I think those are both areas where Congress should push the DFC for even greater transparency.
And and perhaps, we want to make every loan a billboard for debate, right? Because we give you the authority, and we should, for you to make a deal, as long as it's in line with U.S. policy. And I agree with that. But I think the chairs, or the ranking members should have access to see what. I think that's fair and prudent. So I'd like to see that. Lastly, up close to 5-meter target, we could go to a government shutdown. So what does that do to you? I just want to know, a government shutdown, how does it affect your mission if we go to a government shutdown? Sir?
Go ahead.
Well, I don't work for him, so it's
No,
not
I know, but
gonna affect me at all.
what do you think he would do?
Well, it'll do like any other government shutdown. You press a reset button, everything's got to start all over. All those contracts that were negotiated, if the government shuts down, they have to renegotiate all those contracts. It's a waste of money, and let's hope we don't do that. And as far as the oversight, all those loans are on a book somewhere, and the Inspector General, and they have a board of people that approve these things. It's up to Congress, when you get the Inspector General report, to hold them accountable. We always talked about transparency and accountability up here. It's happened under this administration, and if you don't like what they did, shame on us because we didn't act. It's happened. We can't change it. Let's move forward and make it better.
Well,
Congressman, if I could just add to that. Businesses have every right to understand there needs to be some certainty and predictability about contracts they have. To the extent that we have a stop and start funding system in our government that impacts private sector partners of our government, it damages our capacity to attract new business.
I agree. Well, I'm hoping we're at that point. And with that, I wish you a lot of luck. I know you have a lot of influence on there. And for the record, I do agree with the program, but it needs greater scrutiny, like anything else. You know, we can justify taxpayer dollars when we know about them, and we should have that debate whether we should or shouldn't. But we never should have debate with fraud, abuse, and waste, and that we should all stand firm on. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you, Representative Zinke. And with respect to your question about transparency, if you go, I think on dfc.gov website, you will see the list of countries where DFC is funding those projects. And if you click on each country, it will also give you a whole list of the programs that is already being funded. So I think that would be a helpful tool there.